right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, hear from the Missouri Task Force in Florida, tasked with search and rescue after Hurricane Ian. Why they say it's the worst disaster they've ever seen.
Chilly change. The cool Canadian air moving into the bi-state region. When and where the best chances of frost will be.
But first tonight, an ex-police chief sues.
I don't see I did it. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Nothing.
His legal fight to prove he was unjustly fired. Tonight, Pagedale's former police chief, Eddie Simmons, is fighting to get his job back. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred. Simmons is talking only to our Robert Townsend about the lawsuit he's filed against the city. Robert?
Anna, Mike, 68-year-old Eddie Simmons says nearly 2 months ago, the city of Pagedale fired him. Now, Simmons insists the move was unjust, and he's now ready to settle it in court.
Met a lot of people.
Eddie Simmons says for nearly 6 years, he proudly served on the Pagedale Police Department in North St. Louis County. He worked 2 years as a police captain and spent the last 3.5 years as police chief.
Yeah, I love police work. I do. I love the community.
Simmons tells 5 Your Side he recently got slapped with several unexpected hits. In June, he says he received a vote of no confidence from the city of Pagedale, followed by a suspension weeks later. And then on August 8th, he says the Board of Aldermen abruptly fired him.
I wasn't given a chance. I had a hearing, wasn't able to talk to the people that are accusing me.
Simmons says 4 of Pagedale's 6 alderpersons told him he violated several city policies, including the police department's take-home vehicle policy last year, and in May, when he overstepped his budget by $100 after he bought a new desk for a police clerk.
You have to fire a chief with cause, and they don't have cause.
Did you do anything wrong?
I don't see I did it. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Nothing to be fired.
He's now filed a 12-page lawsuit against the city of Pagedale. I reached out to the city for reaction to Simmons' claims. Pagedale City Attorney Sam Alton said, quote, "The city does not comment on pending litigation." Meantime, the embattled former police chief,
And all I'm asking is to be treated fairly.
isn't backing down. You're going to fight to get your job back?
Yes, I am.
Now, I also reached out to Pagedale Mayor Ernest Shields for his take on Simmons' lawsuit. Shields told me he had no comment on the personnel matter. Pagedale's Aldermanic President Faye Millette said, quote, "We don't have anything else to say. We didn't do anything wrong to Mr. Simmons other than do our jobs."
Robert, thank you. The man convicted of killing St. Louis Police Captain David Dorn will spend the rest of his life in prison. A judge sentenced Stephen Cannon today to life without the possibility of parole. In July, a jury convicted him of shooting and killing Dorn during unrest in the summer of 2020. Dorn was guarding a St. Louis pawn shop from looters. Moments before learning his fate, Cannon told the judge he was not the shooter and expressed condolences to the Dorn family. Dorn's family was in the courtroom.
They were words that of expectation. I expected him to say that this is not me and I did not do it. But a jury that was selected decided otherwise.
The judge also gave Cannon maximum sentences on 5 additional charges to be served consecutively with his life sentence. Tonight, we're learning about the St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones' plan to pour $40 million into making our streets safer.
She wants to use COVID relief funds to make drivers slow down to better protect bicyclists and pedestrians. And our Brett Solomon is live at City Hall now with a closer look at the proposal. Brent.
Well, after one too many crashes, city leaders and many of you are now saying enough is enough.
So, King?
On any given day, you can see children playing outside in St. Louis neighborhoods. Too often, they have to compete with traffic.
We couldn't let them out here unless I had all my cars parked right here to make sure nobody jumped the curb and hit them.
To put a shield between the traffic and them. Kendra Trotter is referring to her son, daughter, and nephew. She's lived near Dayton and Glasgow on the north side for 9 years now.
They flew up and down the street all the time and didn't nobody slow down.
In the past couple of years, the city put up a neighborhood traffic circle and speed bumps. She says it's helped a little.
They just fly around the sides of it.
And keep going.
And keep going. Or they fly over it real hard and keep going.
City officials say every little bit helps.
And you can see over there, there's also a speed hump, so it slows them down as they also approach the traffic circle.
Grace Keyoung with the city says the mayor wants to look at a combination of these traffic calming measures all across the city, including raised intersections and curb extensions.
When the curb is extended a little bit further, so it shortens the distance for an individual to cross the street.
It comes after 11 pedestrians and 2 bicyclists have died this year on city streets. One of the most notable incidents, a 17-year-old struck and killed outside of Ted Drew's by a hit-and-run driver. The mayor wants to use $40 million in ARPA funds to get drivers to slow down.
So how are you going to decide where this stuff goes and when?
At the moment, we're focused on the legislative process, and through that, we'll be able to determine where different improvements can be made.
All right, back live now. What that basically means is the Board of Aldermen will have to agree with the mayor to make these investments happen. Each project usually needs a traffic study, which the city has to pay for before the work is done. So the mayor is hoping that many of those projects can be sped up by putting money directly towards projects where studies have already been done. We're live at City Hall tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Tonight, the St. Charles County Auto Theft Task Force is sending a message to would-be criminals. 4 stolen vehicles have been recovered since Monday with the help of Wentzville and Fallon police. Several people now in custody. The task force is using helicopters and a camera system to track license plates. There are also extra patrols on the streets.
We want people to know that if you come over here to commit a crime or attempt to commit a crime, it's a high likelihood we're going to catch you. And if we catch you, we're going to prosecute you. And we're going to put adequate bail on you to keep you in jail until the resolution of this.
Task force members also want you to do your part to cut down on thefts. Lock your car, remove the keys, and take anything valuable.
Tonight, hope is waning in Florida to find the missing and the destruction left behind by Hurricane Ian. So far, the death count has surpassed 100. The Florida Medical Examiner Office says 40 of them died from drowning. Today, President Biden toured the devastation in Fort Myers. He says this was one of the worst storms in the country's history. It could take years to rebuild. The president also talked about the ongoing search efforts.
And the search and rescue teams have knocked on nearly 70,000 doors and rescued over 3,800 people. Yesterday, Lee County alone, the search and rescue teams examined 24,000 structures just in this county, making sure we're accounting for everyone who still may be trapped.
Some local first responders are part of the search and recovery efforts.
Just a few hours ago, Missouri Task Force 1 wrapped up their 3rd day searching Fort Myers Beach, and tonight our Laura Barczewski talked with the task force leader. Laura.
Mike and Ann, Missouri Task Force 1 brought nearly 50 people down to Southwest Florida to help look for people who are missing or trapped. I talked to the task force leader over the phone because the signal was too weak for a video chat on the beach. He says this is the worst disaster he's ever seen.
We see houses completely torn down, all the way down to concrete flooring that's gone up to the floor. And then we'll see trees bent over. We'll see cars and trees. We see cars and houses. You know, they just bulldoze the sand off the streets so the emergency service could get by.
Missouri Task Force 1 has an extremely difficult job following Hurricane Ian as they search for people fighting for their lives and those who didn't make it through the storm.
There have been some fatalities that have been detected, and that's very sad. And we still have some people walking around on the beach area down here that survived the storm, so that's good for them. But, you know, we're going to keep looking until they turn us loose.
They're using every resource possible to help, including live find dogs, cadaver dogs, and even the Missouri drone team, which can go places they can't.
It's on a high-rise building. If I can't make access to the top, they can actually go up there and look inside the building, look on the roof. Look on the backside if I can't get to something. So they're definitely a tool that's coming, and they are necessary.
Task Force leader Randy Sanders says they won't leave until they turn over every stone and look into thousands of washed up cars.
So anytime we walk down the street or into a building, we have devices that are on us that we can mark those markings. You know, we'll make the appropriate decision on what kind of tools to take in there. But if the buildings are collapsed, then maybe we have to dig our way in. So it's been quite a process down here.
It's not clear how much longer Missouri Task Force 1 will be in Florida, but they finished the last section of Fort Myers Beach today. Mike.
Laura, thanks. And we have partnered with the American Red Cross for Project 5's Give 75 campaign to help raise money for Hurricane Ian relief. You can make a donation just by texting the word donate to 314-425-5355.
Chasing a Championship, sponsored by Campbell Mattress and Mattress Direct.
A live look tonight at Busch Stadium. We're just 39 hours away from the first home playoff game since 2019. The Cardinals wrapping up the regular season this afternoon in Pittsburgh with a 5-3 loss. Now the Cardinals' focus shifts to chasing their 12th World Series championship.
Starts Friday afternoon with the wild card series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The entire best-of-3 series will be played at Busch, so Game 1, Friday, 1:07 is the first pitch. That game will air locally on ABC. Everybody's happy about that. Game 2 will air Saturday night at 7:37 on ESPN2. Game 3, if necessary, will be played Sunday night. The start time and the channel depends on if any of the other wild card series wrap up in 2 games. For more information on the Cardinals postseason push and how to get playoff tickets, text the word CARDS to 314-425-5355. And a reminder, tickets for a potential trip to the National League Championship Series go on sale tomorrow at noon.
Dorm room murder. Tonight, an Indiana college student is in jail. What investigators said he did right after he killed his roommate. Some much-needed relief in the form of tax cuts and rebates.
It could relieve the stress of trying to make ends meet.
Tonight, the effort by state and local leaders to put your hard-earned dollars back in your wallet.
One more warm day before Red October turns chilly at Busch Stadium in time for the Wild Card Series this weekend. The areas that are more likely to see frost once the cool air is here.
Tonight, a Purdue University student is in jail accused of killing his roommate in their dorm room. Campus police say the suspect called them early this morning to report his roommate's death. Now, the 22-year-old junior who was studying cybersecurity faces murder charges. Investigators say the victim, a 20-year-old senior, died from multiple sharp force traumatic injuries.
Neither one of them were asleep, and I believe this was unprovoked and senseless.
Purdue officials say the safety and security of its students is the university's highest priority. They say the campus is a safe place.
After weeks of falling gas prices, tonight a signal those prices will soon head back in the wrong direction. OPEC announced today it's cutting production by 2 million barrels a day. The cuts start in November. Oil supplies could be cut back even more after a European Union ban on Russia imports begins in December. The White House says it's working to keep prices lower. Metro East drivers are already seeing a huge jump. The average price today is $3.96 a gallon. That's up 11 cents just from yesterday. St. Louis drivers are paying on average $3.24 a gallon. That's up slightly from yesterday. For the lowest gas prices near you, just text the word gas to 314-425-5355.
You'll see a bit more money in your paycheck starting in January if you live in Missouri. Governor Parson signed a new tax cut plan into law from his office in Jefferson City today. The income tax rate will fall to 4.5% over the next 5 years for people making more than $8,700 per year. The last 3 years of these cuts are not guaranteed unless the state can afford them when the time comes.
We will continue making smart, strategic, and meaningful investments than ever before. But we can do this while giving back to our hard-earning Missourians.
The governor also signed $40 million in agriculture tax credits into law. The end of the year is approaching. That means tax bills.
Some county and state leaders are trying to put money back in your bank account. Michelle Lee looks at some of the local and statewide initiatives to help you make ends meet.
Municipalities across Missouri will be getting a windfall from inflation. For example, when we take a look at used cars in Missouri, their value shot up, which also means you'll be paying more on personal property taxes for the same car.
St. Charles County is trying to reduce a portion of personal property taxes by way of used cars. Normally, used cars don't increase in value year over year, but this year they increased nearly 25%.
Just because there's inflation, you shouldn't necessarily get more money. And there's adjustments that have to be made by law to make sure you don't get a windfall from inflation.
The county is hoping other municipalities follow suit, even if St. Charles County only knocked down the rate a few cents for each taxpayer. Ultimately, it puts back more than $810,000 in windfall revenue. Missouri state lawmakers are lowering income taxes. That would cut the top income tax rate from 5.3% to 4.95% starting next year. But it would also give the largest sums back to people with the most income. And that is a point of contention among state leaders.
We actually had an opportunity, if we wanted to give Missourians relief in their pockets, to pass a bill that the governor vetoed for $500.
Nonetheless, the governor's office says it will cut the income tax rate by nearly 15%. And then let's not forget about Illinois.
For working families with children, that money could put more food on the table.
Illinois is now sending out income and property tax rebates all together as part of the state's inflation relief package. The Illinois governor's office says this is about returning a one-time surplus back to the people.
It could relieve the stress of trying to make ends meet or having to take an extra shift to make sure the rent or mortgage is paid on time.
Whether it's a rebate check or a tax break altogether, people are spending more than ever and getting taxed at higher levels too. But critics say these taxes pay for critical services like fire and police, agencies that are already understaffed and under-resourced. Back to you.
Tonight, a SpaceX Falcon 9 capsule is on its way to the International Space Station. On board, 4 astronauts, 2 Americans, 1 from Japan, and a Russian cosmonaut. The mission makes Nicole Mann the first Native American woman in space. They should arrive at the ISS tomorrow night.
Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. Looking ahead to the weekend, hump day is over. It's going to be Thursday, and we're talking about, really getting cold in the mornings.
Yeah, we're talking about some chilly temperatures here coming our way as we head into the weekend. So this is going to be one of those really fall feeling weekends for sure. Right now we have some clouds around the St. Louis area. You saw them sliding in and across the region this afternoon. They've been trying to kick off a few showers, mostly in northern Missouri, west central Illinois, northern Illinois. The showers that have been on the radar screen around St. Louis have had next to no chance of reaching the ground because the air is so dry. We do have our first cold front out to the west of us. That's coming through as we head through the overnight hours. Not ahead of it. Yes, we had the clouds, and it produced a pretty sunset for a lot of us tonight. From Muscoda, Illinois, Leslie sent this in. She's on our Facebook Weather Watchers group, and we'd love to have you join us. Just search 5 on your side Weather Watchers and join our group. All right. Here's what's going on in the outlying areas. Down into the 50s in the cooler spots. Farmington, Perryville, down into the mid-50s, low 50s in Mount Vernon, still 62 in St. Charles and Warrenton right now. And Lambert's a little warmer than most at this point, still stuck at 70. The front is not through St. Louis yet. South to southeast breeze at about 6 miles per hour, but the air is still dry. That dew point is just 41 degrees. We're not as cool tomorrow morning. Most of us are in the low to mid-50s. Sure, there could be a spritz overnight, but that would be about all that front's going to be able to do. It does slide east of us as we head through the morning hours, but the air behind this first front, not really much cooler. We're in the upper 70s, right around 80 again tomorrow. But as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow night, early Friday, that's when the big cold front comes through, the one that has the really chilly air behind it. And so our Canadian friends are going to send that down and make it into the bi-state area starting on Friday. It'll be breezy, brisk. We'll have some sunshine, but it's going to be chilly, and by Saturday morning, it's downright cold in some of the outlying areas. Some spots will drop into the low, perhaps mid-30s, and we think the best chances of seeing some frost would be to the west of St. Louis, down into the low spots over the eastern Ozarks, to our north, and then off to our east. Not so much so in the metro area. And of course, the Cardinals with the wild card series and the Phillies in town, that's a chilly 60-degree temperature for the game time on Friday, and it's in the 50s at the start of the game Saturday evening, and maybe dropping into the upper 40s before the game is over. So here you go with your temperatures. They are chilly over the next 10 days, or at least Friday and Saturday. Then we'll start the return back into the mid to upper 70s by Tuesday, and finally some rains in the forecast for the middle of next week.
And we need that rain. All right, Scott, thanks very much. Frank is here with sports.
Well, Mike, would it be a good idea to bet on the Cardinals to win the World Series? I'll explain in just a moment. And how about Albert Pujols? Well, we're going to give him some career advice coming up in just a moment from the Blues head coach.
Chasing a Championship, sponsored by Campbell Mattress at Mattress Direct.
Not that I would ever advocate gambling. However, if you love the vibe of the Cardinals as they head into this postseason, here's something to think about. If you decided to wager $100 on the Cardinals winning the World Series, you would take home $2,300. That's a lot of pasta. And here is the last regular season game for the Cardinals in Pittsburgh. Tommy Edman had himself a day. 3 hits, including this RBI single in the first, which scored Lars Nootbaar. Matthew Liberatore started today. Dakota Hudson was optioned off the roster. Liberatore struggled, 5 runs in 5 innings. Jordan Hicks was activated. He pitched a scoreless inning. He's trying to make the playoff roster. Pirates win 5-3. Cardinals finish 93 and 69. The big question is, who will start Game 1 against the Phillies? Miles Mikolas has been your all-star, but Jose Quintana has been incredible in September. A .81 earned run average, almost unhittable. Albert Pujols will play in every playoff game, and he has the attention of every person in our town. In fact, even the head coach of the St. Louis Blues is a big fan of this incredible season for Albert and his teammates.
You know, I've been down there a couple times in the clubhouse and talking to, you know, Yachty and Pujols and Wainwright and these guys, and we're cheering for him. And, you know, congrats to Pujols. Hopefully he convinces himself to play another year. He got more records he can break next year.
Love it, Chief. How about the soccer appetite in our town? The programs at SLU and St. Louis City SC2 have been outstanding. The development team has reached the championship game of the MLS Next Pro League in its inaugural season. They'll play for the title in Columbus on Saturday, and believe me, they are fully aware of the support our town has given them.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, we travel to all these different cities, and you get 50 people to a game, 100 people to a game, and I understand they have first teams there already, but to have, you know, routinely over 2,000 people come into our games, they're loud the whole game, you see the interaction with the fans after the game, shows how special they are to us.
Quarterback Anthony Richardson is special to the University of Florida. Mizzou heads to Gainesville on Saturday afternoon. At 6'4", 230 pounds, Richardson is a little Cam Newton-ish. He's already rushed for 5 touchdowns, and he is a load to bring down.
If you don't hit him in the mid-sternum to the thighs, you're not going to get him down. You've really got to run your feet through the tackle. If you leave your feet before the tackle, you're going to bounce off like a ping pong ball.
Finally tonight, a word about 2 of our all-time favorites in St. Louis, Tony La Russa and Albert Pujols. They will forever be connected. It was Tony who decided to give Albert a shot, and for the next 11 years, they were connected at the hip. So much in common, too. Relentless competitors who were all about the team, great at their profession, and they bled Cardinal red. The difference is the endings. Albert goes off in a blaze of glory. He led the league in ovations, OPS in the second half, and an outrageous 703 homers. La Russa made odd moves, fell asleep in the dugout, and was second-guessed more than the mayor of Chicago. He got sick and went home and never came back. You know, the sports world rarely gives us great endings. We got one in St. Louis. They didn't in Chicago. And that will do it in sports.
Thank you, Frank. A viral Halloween display on hiatus, and it was over a scare the neighbor caused.
A mystifying Halloween display outside a suburban Chicago home will return after a neighbor tried to shut them down. It features the character Max from Stranger Things levitating above the driveway. The display has drawn huge crowds after it went viral on TikTok. The homeowners say the neighbor has threatened visitors with a baseball bat, but the decision to reopen came after a meeting with police tonight.
I want to know, how did they do it? Crocs is celebrating its 20th anniversary by giving away thousands of free clogs. The free Pair for All Croctober giveaway runs through Friday. All you have to do is sign up on the company's website. The shoe brand saw a resurgence of its popularity during the pandemic.
And Americans love their Spam. For the 8th straight year, Hormel is reporting record sales of its canned pork product. The 85-year-old product has undergone a cultural reinvention thanks to recipes shared on social media. Hormel says it's boosting production to keep up with the demand. And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Jimmy's guest night, Reese Witherspoon and Kevin Nealon. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.